Hey everyone, it's DeagleBeagle, and today we're going to look at probably my favorite Pokemon in Regulation F is Rhydon. And the reason why it's my favorite Pokemon is probably because it's so underrated and I like pioneering stuff, and Raging Bolt is so common and commonly listed as like top tier. So it's one of the only Pokemon that's like useful that has Lightning Rod. Probably the only useful Lightning Rod user, because if you look at the alternatives, um, not very useful. Rhyperior is a worse Lightning Rod Pokemon, even though I suppose you could on a niche team use it for just a little bit more power than Rhydon. But it only has 10 more base attack, and that's not worth it in general when you can use Eviolite, unless you're just trying to use like max offense possible and trick room with like Life Orb. Yeah, if you use like a Choice Band or Life Orb Rhyperior, or some offensive item like that, and you use Lightning Rod, I guess. But typically, if you're trying to use Lightning Rod, you want a Pokemon that's bulky and survives as long as possible, so you redirect attacks longer. Okay, um, and Rhydon with Eviolite just seems better. Like, yeah, it has a little less attack and special defense, um, in defense. Speed is the same, HP is a little less, but with Eviolite, it just becomes way bulkier. And by the way, this is more like 440 usable base stat total because special attack is irrelevant, and this is more like 480. So we're talking about like a difference in like 40 base stat total between these two, and then considering the item of Eviolite that increases this. Yeah, it does require an item though, to be fair. But let's just say this was Assault Vest, then that would boost it up to like 87.5 special defense base stat, kind of in a sense. And then this would be like, well, for Eviolite, this makes it doing all this math, like 70-ish special defense. So it would have slightly less bulk, especially than Rhyperior, but it would have more defense by far, and its HP would be slightly less. So it seems like in general it's more efficient to use Rhydon than Rhyperior, but Rhyperior is a different Pokemon, and it's better if you're just trying to use it for hyper offense in Trick Room and not so much for its ability. But if you're trying to use it more for its ability, I would recommend Rhydon. Rhydon just seems better in general because it's offensive enough in my experience. Like, you can make it pretty bulky and use it like this, and it has enough offense to be good. And someone was even showing me you could use Heat Crash. Um, yeah, I think I'll use Heat Crash instead of Mega Horn. Um, but maybe not, because Heatran, if it Terra grasses, it will still wall this. So I don't know. I might want to just risk the accuracy with Mega Horn. And this depends on its power, on its weight compared to the target, and it may not be that much heavier than the target. 264 pounds. Yeah, I don't think that's incredibly heavy. Let me average weight of Pokemon. Okay. I wish it would say average weight, but yeah, I think the average weight well, it varies so much it's hard to tell, but it's probably um, the better Pokemon tend to weigh more for sure, but not always. Yeah, so Heat Crash. It depends on the Pokemon. I don't have it all memorized, but I think Amoonguss. You would want it for like. No, I don't want this. Okay, Amoonguss and some other Pokemon like Lilligant H. You would want Heat Crash for. Okay, so that's why it did so much. And look up Rillaboom and other grass Pokemon really quick. That would do how much damage? 80? Well, actually, Heat Crash. We'll look that up later. But Rillaboom has slightly less um, weight, so. And then these have a lot. Okay, so let's look up Heat Crash. If you're into consistency, though, maybe don't use that. But then again, Megahorn can miss too. So So it would do not very much to Rillaboom because it's more than 50% of the weight. It would probably cap on. It would cap on. I think Amoonguss and the Ogre Pawns. Yeah, actually, Heat Crash is not that great of a move if a lot of the best Pokemon are a lot of weight, unless it's a coincidence where Heat Wave super effect or Heat Crash super affects a lot of hits a lot of Pokemon really hard that it super affects. So I personally would just use Megahorn because just Rillaboom alone you would want it for, and you could use it for like Cresselia and some other things too. So up to you. So let's go over the Terra really quick. And you would always want to use Lightning Rod with Rhydon, I believe, because yeah, these two other abilities aren't very useful. Rhydon's big niche is Lightning Rod and doing and just being really bulky in general. This thing's really hard to kill in general, like if you use it like this. And you can still have a decent amount of offense with it too. Like you can use it in Trick Room, High Horsepower, Rock Slide, etc. And it's really not too bad. It's really underrated. That's why I'm covering all these Pokemon because they're so underrated. And you'll just wall the heck out of Raging Bolt even without Terra Fairy. But I figure if you just want to super wall the most common electric Pokemon, which are Raging Bolt and a few other and Iron Hands, then Terra Fairy would be good for that because you would wall um, better Terra Blast flying with Thundurus or uh, Dracometer from Raging Bolt, Dragon Pulse, Drain Punch. You would wall better, but I think I might like Grass better because well, it depends on how much you use it as a lightning rod Pokemon. To me, it's like only used half for that. Yeah, the other half is used as a decent Pokemon in Trick Room, and you could use it on a Tailwind and Trick Room team and just use min speed on it, and it would still outspeed some stuff in Tailwind, but be slow enough in Trick Room to be useful. But you might actually want to make it a little bit slower, like 48 speed or whatever to if you're using it like that, so that you still outspeed like Iron Hands in Trick Room or King Ambit or Ursaluna regular form. So I guess I could leave it like that. So I'd say either 48, 60, or 40. One of those three seems to make a lot of sense. And there you go. I don't think. Oh, maybe you could use Sword Stance, huh? Yeah, you could use Sword Stance, but A coverage move seems way better because the time it takes to set up a sword stance, it's like you could have just rock slided twice or used a mega horn for coverage or whatever. So, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.